G'day, welcome to Project Smith Tech, and today we're going to be building a streaming system. Now what the inspiration that came about this system was I needed another computer in a quieter place to actually record my gameplay, and so I ended up upgrading a few things to try and achieve a much clearer picture. However, this is quite expensive, but as a majority of my recordings was actually done with this thing, and this thing was just a cheap HDMI USB converter that I brought off eBay, and that actually did the job, relatively speaking, although this card does a far better job. But this is $400, where I think this may have been around $20-30, and we'll just go over the parts. So I suppose I'll start with the motherboard, which is the HUANANZHI. I'm definitely not pronouncing that correctly, but it is another X99 build. For the CPUs, we're going something a little bit special, so hopefully we can see it. I'm going to cut to the actual specs of the recording that I've actually done a little bit earlier. Alright, just a quick cut. We'll just go through what I'm actually putting in the motherboard, as I would have just shown you here. 14 nanometer, so this is the first 14 nanometer, and it should be, yeah, there we go, Broadwell. 8 cores, 16 threads. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to see what it does in Cinebench when I'm going flat out AVX2, not AVX 512, but anyway. This is just a cost. So this is one that I brought it from. Now, obviously, it's not the cheapest one, but at the time of purchasing, some of these weren't available. So there's obviously some delay, or I didn't shop very well. But anyway, so it's $46 US. And just to compare it to the 4-core variant, it's actually cheaper per core if we buy the E5 2667. So this should work well for us. So let's see what it does as a streaming system. Now I am going to put it up against my current just desktop 11900K, basically just for fun. So anyway, back to the actual build. So as you can see, I got two 8-core CPUs. That's a total of 16 cores. 32 threads. And for the RAM, this motherboard actually tolerates just standard desktop memory. So this is about as cheap and nasty as you can get. I forget how I ended up with this RAM. I was doing a project that unrelated to the channel, but I have got actual registered error correcting memory on the way, and I'm pretty sure that will make the board a little bit more stable. For the GPU, we're going well, this is actually a Strix. So this is a 1060 Strix, 6GB variant of the card. Nothing special, but it's more than enough to do just the video encoding on the fly. And so, yeah, I've used this system for both this and this. This is actually broken, I broke. For the case, we're going the Matrexx 55 mesh. So this has actually got a mesh front. So it's better than the other system. This allows me to put more powerful components in it. And for the fans, I am running, well, where I can, obviously not the back of here, but I am running 140mm non-PWM. So this would be actually voltage control if you're to try and control the RPM, which is basically irrelevant. But quiet fans, it's going to spin quietly anyway, so it shouldn't affect. And this build is based more around making sure everything is quiet. And for the coolers, I have done this on the channel before. And the power supply. So this system is basically made of all the spare parts, and it came about just out of a necessity out of trying to create a system so I could have two recording PCs, one in a much quieter area. But this is going to be a fun build, and I look forward to doing just a Cinebench just to confirm how hard these chips can run. I was almost tempted to edit this video off this card to see how well it goes. Maybe I will, but I still want to upload a video with my Intel system, just one more. Anyway, let's get to it. Alright, first step, I'm going to install the CPU. Now I know I've already done this on the channel, and especially with this exact socket, which I don't know if I made a promise that I'd never repeat a socket twice, but that video was a little while ago. And all the stuff's here, so I might as well get it done. So might as well take you guys along for the ride. So I am going to see how hard it turbos in. Now I know that they gave us numbers, but I don't know what it's going to be like under an AVX load. So anyway, CPU, we've already gone over it. Little triangle. Now where's the little triangle? Ah, yes. You can see the triangle here. So I might zoom out just a little bit more. Alright, so we've unhooked everything. So as we've already seen, the triangle, we want that at the end. When I say specifically the end, just more or less so it's matching. Give it a little wiggle. Now if you want to double check, so you got the triangle there. And that obviously matches with the board. All right, now that you're confident that you got the CPU in the right order, see the small triangle? Matches that one. And the very first, so we'll put the hatch down, then we'll put the locking mechanism that's, well, this one first. And then the one opposing the first lockdown. So lockdown to the opposite to the hinge first, then the lock to the hinge second. Okay, RAM, I'm only going to show you this once. This is for the benefit of those who haven't watched my other videos, but I have done this a lot. So in my case, I got eight sticks of RAM, but if you have 4, I'd recommend putting them in the actual black slots first, because this motherboard's supposed to be 8 channels all up, or 4 channels per CPU. So there we go, nice. Okay, as you can see, I got the RAM in. Now we're just you're gonna have to take my word for it because it's now got a cooler on it, but this is the Samsung 970 Evo Plus. And we're just going to install it here. This will have a direct PCIe to one of the CPUs. However, if we just go to something else, that will not. So that will go to the chipset, and it's actually pretty quick, but you do lose out on 2 of these ports. Goes chipset, but since we've got this capacity anyway, so if you wanted to run like a proper work drive, which isn't a bad idea. So if you plan on writing, particularly if you're streaming or you're actually recording video, and you're going to do a lot of writing, you can easily replace the works drive. That's why I generally have 2. But for this build at the moment, you could always get your SATA drives. This motherboard does provide plenty. But for my case, we're going quick. So this is Samsung, 1 terabyte, running Windows 11. Now these processors doesn't natively support Windows 11, although the operating system hasn't complained too much so far. So we're doing pretty well on that front. And just, insert it on the angle, go down by itself. Now this screw is actually massive for an M.2, but that's what the motherboard came with. And yeah, this is something that happens to me when I use screwdrivers. They actually come magnetic over time. Lucky me, eh? People talk about, magnetic wear on the screwdriver. No, not me. The exact opposite happens. I can have an inert screwdriver and it'll be very magnetic. This is one of my first building screwdriver. Does a good job. All right, moving on. First up to the cooler, the particular cooler that I'm using. We're going to use our bracket and take note of the lever. My goodness, this is, so we want always the short end with the smaller. So we want the short end with the smaller tab to go against this side. So when I put both of them together, not ideal, but yeah, that doesn't get in the way of each other. So that's how I would do it. And I'm going to put thermal paste. So black ring, both sides, thermal paste. And with the black ring, we just want to make sure that the clips are identical. Line that there. You can screw it in by hand just for the start, then give it a nip once you're confident that it's in the right area. And like all things, although probably not necessary with this, but I do like to go a crisscross pattern, which is something that I forgot to show an example of when putting the 420 cooler on my 11900K. But anyway, you get that picture. Now for the thermal paste. I'm using Arctic Silver. Good enough. And this is not the, apparently you can get, well, yeah, of course, you can get better thermal paste than this, but this, for the CPU, they are 130 watts each. That's at the theoretical max power. So whether I can get the 8 cores to actually go that far. But for this, we're going to use what we call a P shape. Now, you're probably going to look at that and go, oh, that's a bit more than a P shape. Well, that's true, and I'd rather have too much than too little. And we're going to, with our trusty spatula, this you'll have to make yourself. And we're just going to spread it around. And would you look at that? Fantastic. Now we're going to grab our cooler. We're going to make sure that the top of it's clean and make sure you peel off any labels that might be on it. You don't want to put happens all the time. Not to me, obviously, but there we go. Look at that. Nice, fresh and clean. Now, as a remember with the straps, you want the bigger tab on the outsides and the smaller tab on the inside. And although this isn't my favorite mechanism, but if you look at the amount of heat pipes, it's going to keep the processor nice and cool. So I don't know how well this is going to film. Look at that, nice and easy. Now the next one is the challenge, and you have to sometimes be a little bit more persuasive with this one. So even nudging the whole thing out of the way. But this computer, this is basically made out of my salvage, and you'll get to see how desperate I was for parts very soon. All right, when I talk about being persuasive, yeah, I did have to bend that. I didn't have to do it last time, and I did definitely get this on, but It's now nice and secure. I did actually change the side, so I went bigger, smaller than bigger because it was easier to bend. Oh, look at that, nice and clear. I really like this camera. So as you can see, I've already paid for the part, or else, yes, I would definitely not recommend this cooler, but that's fine. That's good enough. This was a salvage build, so it's like, yeah, I actually had enough parts to build another system, dual processor as well. And quite often what I do for other projects, if I'm trying to build a proof of concept, so for example, if I'm building a TrueNAS or even Unraid, and I wanted to use one of these, it's actually handy having a whole system spare. But this system will be now my both recording and streaming, so continue to build. Actually, I'll point this out while I'm here. So these two PCIe slots, they'll be going to one of the CPUs, and this one will be going to a different one. So because the capture card is so dependent on the GPU, it's actually important to, so I'll definitely occupy these two. That way you don't have the massive data stream that needs to be sent across the two CPUs. For the fans, just got some Coolmaster, what do I run at? 0.4 amps. So the whole circuitry on the board is going to be 1.6 amps. So assuming, well, I had no problems in the past and I've definitely ran more. No, that should be fine. So these are normally rated at an amp. And they're so far away from each other, they wouldn't be using the same circuit. So that's perfectly fine. So we've got 0.8 of an amp loaded on the PWM. And these fans are very quiet, so good enough. Not that it really matters, but just for continuity, make sure we have the arrow. Air will be drawn through the thin stack and blowing out the top. And since I'm going to have plenty of cooling on the top, we want to get rid of that hot CPU fairly quickly. And we're going to do the classic zip tie everything on. Alright. Now this there, so for the fan, air's always going to come out the sticker side. So it's going to draw air in on the, well, I don't know if you call it the hub side or, but basically the front and the back. So it draws air in the front, back. It's going to go something like that. And then we have this fan. It'll be assisting it, but we'd put it here. That way it gets rid of the air very quickly. And we have one fan for redundancy. Well, for the zip tie, I won't go through it here because I've recently done a video going to explanation with the zip tie and it was tedious even then. But the yellow ones that I have is the only one that's long enough. And I do want to ask a question, so if you wanted to leave it in the comments. For the theme of my channel, I was actually thinking about going yellow. So I really got to change the avatar picture. So having an anime is a bit immature for the size of my channel now. And thank you very much for subscribing. But I'll show you a picture of it once it's done, and then we get ready to put it in the case. Alright, so the same thing happened last time. This is why I ended up including it in the video last time, but I'll just quickly explain it. Make sure you have your zip ties in the right direction. So obviously that's going to come from the, I'm going to put another zip tie there. It'll easily slot into there, but on the back side, it's just, we're going to do the opposite. So having your zip tie points are very important. I really like the yellow actually. Look at that, looking pretty good. I don't mind the yellow theme. Yellow and gold, orange. Time to put it all in the case. Alright, just quickly going over the case. I was actually happy that it included these fan splitters, so that's going to be very helpful. I thought I had to do something very dodgy with some of the spare parts, like for example this. Well, 12 volts fine. 7 volt, what is even that with this connect? I didn't even think that was possible. Anyway, and then you have 5 volt. So technically only one would have been useful. So with a few splitters and whatnot, it would have worked, but looks like I don't have to. We'll take a look at the back side of the case. Looks like they're giving us all our wires anyway, so it looks like no dodgy splitting that has to be done. Unfortunately, I won't be able to change the back fan of the case, however. Might not look like it's big enough, but fortunately the 140 Be Quiet fan will fit in there, no problem. So that's going to be no issues Getting that in. And we have another look at the case when all the fans are in and the lucky power supply that I have. All right, I'll be back. All right, look at that. Excellent. 2 fans in the top. Now, the reason why I went the Be Quiet 140 is because, well, it moves a lot of air and it does it as about the quietest fan that I know of that's on the market. So apart from the one at the back, we've actually got a pretty good set of fans here. So I'm actually really pleased with how this has all gone. Now, the next step, now fortunately, because I've worked with the case many times, I know that the motherboard does go inside, and that's our next step. Get the motherboard inside. You'll have to, because it's a non-standard motherboard, you have to check the standoffs in each hole. Also, my little secret. Why is that so badly damaged on the end? I don't know. Don't think I dropped it. Yeah, whatever. But we got pretty good here. All right, now let's move it into the case. Alrighty, we're just having a quick look. Just keep in mind with the power supply. So these CPUs draw, they have an official draw of 130 watts. So combine the two, that's obviously 260 watts. And I'm not sure if we're going to be, I mean, the power supply will do it. So I have full confidence in that. But is some of the things that you need to take care of. I've never had a problem with that. Graphics card, it is lower to the ground than what I like. Normally what I'll do is I take the shroud out, but doing so will render these bays, well, I have to take them out as well. And I might want to put a works drive in there if I don't want to go the M.2 route. So nothing wrong with that. And I'm going to do a little bit of cable managing. Are we back? And for a little bit of cable management, there we go. Let's have a look at what it fully looks like with everything on. Mission accomplished. This system's built. I can't wait till I turn it on to give it a quick Cinebench score. Then we're going to go over just some of the free software that we can get, and then you guys will be streaming. Now, don't forget, you don't have to use the expensive card, although each of these have various quality issue, but I think it's fine. This is what I actually, for the start of the channel, this is what I actually did a lot of my filming on, although I never used the 4K function on. I don't know if it actually worked. I was just worried that the USB wouldn't be able to handle the data flow, given that I don't actually have a 10 gigabit port on this, but everything else is in order. So yeah, if you want to start your own streaming, or if you want to know what software I use, spoiler alert, OBS. And I'll be doing a quick Cinebench score and a quick sponsor. I actually got a sponsor. Bit of a surprise, you'll see. Right at the end of the video. And that's our final score. So that's basically as high as I could get with a little bit of playing around. And just in Cinebench R23, gets slightly above the AMD Threadripper. So that's a 16 core versus, well, total of 12 core. No, we've got 16 cores. It's 16 versus 16. Yeah. Oh, there you go. 20 faster. Cool. This is a system working under full load. As you see, much better with the noise. Alright, this video is done. Thank you very much for watching. Project Smith Tech signing out. Peace. And this video sponsor was, that's right, me, in providing the 8K technology that we're going to use to do 8K benchmarking. I'm very excited about this.